The year 2014 marks the 50th anniversary of the Society of Broadcast Engineers. Over those 50 years, thousands of broadcast engineers have been a part of the SBE, and many of them have contributed to the organization's growth and development. This program is a look back at some of the people and events that have helped shape the Society. John Battison was born in England in 1915. He was fascinated with electronics, and specifically radio, at an early age. A native of England, he earned a degree in theoretical physics. A self-taught pilot, he served as a flight instructor for the RAF, and later flew combat missions in both fighters and bombers during World War II. He came to the U.S. in 1945, and his career took him to many locations in the U.S., Middle East, and Africa. In 1961, Battison was serving as editor of Broadcast Engineering magazine, when he wrote an editorial that would serve to be the initial catalyst in the organization of the SBE. At the 2011 SBE National Meeting in Columbus, Ohio, Battison spoke about how the SBE began.
I'm also very happy for my brainchild and that SBE is doing so well. And I've been a member of the IRE for a long time. And then back in the early 60s, they decided to join and become the IEEE. And I felt that radio was going to lose its clout. So I sat down at the editorial desk where I was editor of the broadcast engineering. I was a consulting engineer in those days, but broadcast engineering needed an editor, and I said I would do it till they got somebody whom they liked. So I took advantage of the fact that I had access to the pages of and I suggested that we formed a new society. And 32 people answered me. 31 people said it was a jolly good idea. One said it was damn silly.
After the promising response, Battison published a number of the letters he received in subsequent issues of the magazine, hoping that someone would come forward to organize the effort. When no one did, he struck out on his own. With the help of family members, he mailed almost 5,000 letters to broadcast engineers in the U.S. and Canada. He also published a membership application in the magazine. A few informal meetings were held with interested engineers, including in the Binghamton, New York area. When he finally felt enough interest had been generated, he held the first official meeting during the 1964 NAB convention at the Conrad Hilton Hotel in Chicago. Approximately 100 broadcast engineers from across the country attended the meeting. At the meeting, the decision was made to form a new professional association devoted to the needs and interests of broadcast engineers. Those assembled decided to call it the Institute of Broadcast Engineers, but over concerns that the acronym, IBE, would be confused with a labor union, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, or IBEW, the first order of business was to immediately change the name to the Society of Broadcast Engineers. From that point, Battison chaired a steering committee to help guide the organization during its first year. He edited and produced the Society's first membership publication, the Journal of the Society of Broadcast Engineers, which included technical articles submitted by members. The early issues included a full-page advertisement from Electro-Voice, one of the first 3 companies to join the SBE as a sustaining member. That first issue, released in June of 1964, also included prominently an article from FCC Chairman E. William Henry, who welcomed the Society and extolled the importance of the engineer to the broadcast industry. Within the first 2 months of the organization's existence, 5 chapters were formed. Chapter 1 in Binghamton, New York, was followed by Chapter 2 in Scranton, Pennsylvania, Chapter 3 in Hutchinson, Kansas, Chapter 4 in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Chapter 5 in Atlanta, Georgia. Chapter 1 was chaired by Charles Hallinan, a radio station chief engineer in Binghamton and a charter member of the SBE. He and other local engineers had an informal group that had already been meeting, and he offered to Battison that it become Chapter 1 of the new SBE. The first official meeting of Chapter 1 was held in June 1964 at the Your Home Library in Johnson City, New York. Another charter member, Gino Riccardelli, eventually chaired the chapter, freeing up Hallinan to serve at the national level as Executive Vice President and later the SBE's second president. The SBE's second annual meeting was held on March 20, 1965, at the Shoreham Hotel in Washington, D.C., site of that year's NAB convention. The first officers were elected, with Battison as president, Hallinan as executive vice president, Robert Houston of Defuniak Springs, Florida as secretary, and Ambrose Bill Kramer of Arlington, Virginia as treasurer. By that time, 7 more chapters had been organized. Hallinan was elected the Society's second president in 1966, and then as secretary for several years. By 1971, the leadership of the SBE, led by President Bob Flanders, felt the need to take the next step in the organization's development and move the administration of the SBE from Hallinan's kitchen table in Binghamton to Indianapolis. Flanders, who was the director of engineering at WRTV Television in Indianapolis, hired a secretary for a few hours a month to keep the Society's membership records. In 1975, the board adopted a proposal to create a certification program for the Society. Members John Wilner, Ben Wolf, and Jim Willeman are credited with making the certification program a reality. By 1977, the first certification exams were administered. Willeman would lead the program as its volunteer chairman and director for almost 20 years. The certification program would grow in scope, size, and respect within the industry, and today, more than 4,700 active certifications are in place. In 1980, to memorialize the life of member, author, and teacher Harold Ennis, his home chapter in Indianapolis formed the Harold Ennis Scholarship Fund Trust. The following year, the chapter gave the trust to the National SBE to provide broader exposure. Today, the Ennis Trust provides educational programming and support to educational projects as well as scholarships. The first independent national convention of the Society was held in 1986 in St. Louis, and these continued through 1996, held in various cities across the country. The early conventions were well attended, but as the industry changed, a standalone convention was deemed no longer viable, and in 1997, the SBE adopted a new concept, holding an annual national meeting in conjunction with a regional industry event, usually sponsored by an SBE chapter. This provided the SBE with a stage to present its annual awards while spotlighting the programs of the regional event. Chapters have always been where many SBE members realize the greatest value in their membership. It's where members come together, share their knowledge, experience, and develop friendships. Over the years, SBE chapters have offered countless opportunities for members to learn, receive recognition from their peers, provide opportunities for leadership, and experience a fraternal bond, and just talk shop. From the very beginning of the SBE, the spring convention of the National Association of Broadcasters has played an important role. No single event annually attracts more SBE members than the NAB show. For many years, the SBE has exhibited at the show and used the opportunity to forge relationships with other industry groups. The annual spring membership meeting held during the show provides another opportunity for member recognition, camaraderie, and fun. Since 1995, the SBE, in cooperation with the Ennis Trust, has been a producing partner with the NAB of the NAB Broadcast Engineering Conference. Since the 1980s, the SBE has worked to represent the interests of broadcast engineers on technical regulatory matters at the national level. The SBE has filed comments with the FCC on dozens of issues, many regarding broadcast auxiliary spectrum matters. Occasional trips to the nation's capital have been made to meet with industry organizations and make our case with FCC officials. In 1977, to help local broadcasters avoid harmful interference in the BAS bands, the SBE created a national network of volunteer frequency coordinators. Modeled after the efforts of Chapter 47 in Los Angeles and others, the SBE encouraged every chapter to recruit a member to serve as their local frequency coordinator. Today, more than 150 members fill these roles. In 1999, the effectiveness of this volunteer service led to a 10-year relationship with the National Football League, providing game day frequency coordinators for all NFL games. Education is one of the pillars of the SBE, especially continuing education for those in the field to keep up with changes in technology and government relations. Together, local chapters and the National SBE have provided thousands of educational opportunities over the years through meetings, special seminars, workshops, and courses. Since 2008, the SBE has utilized the Internet to deliver live and archived webinars and in-depth courses. Since 1997, the SBE has presented the Leadership Development Course, a 3-day intensive seminar led by instructors from Purdue University that teaches leadership and management skills to broadcast engineers. Since the 1990s, the SBE has also provided educational opportunities through SBE publications. These have included books on digital television, HD radio, EAS, station operations, and master control handbooks. Since its beginning in 1964, the Society has continued to grow and now numbers more than 5,300 members and 114 chapters. Members are found in every U.S. state, several U.S. territories and possessions, and in 29 other countries.
I like the way that the people who came after me have done the work. I was the first president, but the people who followed me have put a great deal of work and hard labor into the progress of the SBE. And I think that everybody who's been mentioned certainly deserves the applause and the applaud that they're receiving.
The SBE will continue to provide educational opportunities, recognition of experience and knowledge through certification and service, and a community of like-minded professionals from which to learn and grow, and yes, have some fun. The past 50 years have seen tremendous change in the broadcasting industry. Perhaps the most change has been in technology. The SBE continues to adapt to meet the needs of our members and is looking to the future as broadcasting and its technology continue to be redefined.